So it was brought to my attention not too long ago that apparently I end every single one of these by saying, I'm scared. Well, to the person who said that to me, guess what? I was right to be scared. And you know what else? I should have been even more scared. Let's get into it, shall we? After the absolute shit show that was Absconegura, we are now heading off to Pacha, along with a huge crowd of carriages that are all going in the same direction. And, you know, some typical stuff happens here and people are talking to each other, so let's just go down the list. First off, Lyra talks to Josefina, who apologizes for her outburst during the Gira games. She's pretty certain that Fizz is going to be okay, like physically at least, because apparently he's gone through worse, but she doesn't actually know what that worse is. But still, despite it, she's very unsure about how to apologize to Fizz. You know, she did stab him in the stomach. Lyra just encourages her that, you know, she does need to apologize. It does have to happen, but she should probably wait some time before then. No one really seems to be in the mood for talking right now. Meanwhile, Rover goes off to check on Fizz, and he tries to comfort him by just leaning against him. But Fizz isn't receptive to this at all, so Rover backs off and instead just tries asking if the wound still hurts. Fizz says that it's fine now, but he doesn't really give any other answers. He's pretty cold about it, so Rover gives up. Meanwhile, Beat is walking outside with Vitus, and she's thinking about what happened during the games, and she's worried that she might be becoming a bit more violent than she wishes to be. Hila nervously shows up, and she and Beat start talking about their own past experiences and just bonding. It's very cute. Cute stuff. So we now come to the reason that I said that I should have been more scared for this session than I already was. For the first time ever, I am going to give warnings for what I'm about to talk about here. And I promise I'm not just being biased because there's a specific character. It's just because I feel like this is the first time where really it's actually so messed up that it needs a warning. And I'll keep doing this in the future too. I'll try my best to give warnings for things that I think are a little bit fucked up. So, fair warning for human trafficking, kidnapping, and sexual assault. So the group comes to a fork in the path. In front of them is what is the original path. The path is muddy and rocky, and there are weapons and blood strewn about on the ground. Off to the side, the crowd is forming a new path in order to go around this carnage. The party instead decides to keep going on the original path, and they come across some bodies that are all wearing the same armor that's indiscernible in origin. It could be Ettenheim, but Lyra isn't sure, which means nobody is sure. One thing to note about is that it really seems less like there was a battle here and more like some sort of massacre. There's no one here wearing any other armor, it's all the same. So the party is traveling along this path when the carriage suddenly gets stuck on something. Everybody gets out to see what it is, and they find out that it's an old guitar. Rover frees the guitar from underneath the wheel and sees a grate that the guitar was leaning on. Looking inside, everyone can see that there's a large cement room with scattered chains and the hand of someone that they can't really tell if it's disembodied or connected to something. When looking at this, Lyra notices that Fizz has some strange behavior upon seeing all these things, but when he's asked about it, Fizz doesn't respond. Instead, he asks for the guitar and Rover hands it over without a second thought. After failing to convince Lyra to help her get into the room, Beat then just rips the grate out. It's pretty old and easy to get rid of. So she is going into that room, and Vitus is going with her, of course, but Rover and Azrael decide to go in to accompany her because, you know, she's a child. As the others are going down, Lyra again tries to get something out of Fizz and, you know, ask him what's going on here, because clearly he knows something. Fizz says that he'll be honest about everything else, but not this. He doesn't want to talk about this, not now. But he is certain that the others won't die down there, that's for sure. Cutting to the group that's inside the room, they find that the hand is connected to a body that's being eaten by rats. And then Beat finds a stupid little white one, and she takes it and she names it Chikoa. So now I have to seriously talk about Chikoa, the cute little thing. Anyway, behind the body is an open metal door that Rover decides to go into and investigate. Inside, there are tally marks on the walls, more chains, and a dying skeleton. Well, I wouldn't say that the skeleton is dying, more like it's already dead. There's also a mattress in the middle of the room and a door that leads to the left. So Rover and Azrael decide to keep going deeper. The next room is covered in red paint, and there's a large bed in the center of the room with ornate bedside tables next to it. There are handcuffs on the bed frame. This causes Rover to make a sex joke that is going to age like milk. Beetles then tell Beat to get the hell out of here. This doesn't really seem like a place that she should be. So she leaves with Chikawa, leaving Fidus behind. Rover checks underneath the bed where he finds a bunch of manila files. He pulls them out and starts skimming through them. One of them has Ed on it, and another with AIM on. A lot of the pictures in the files are X'd out. And at the very end, Rover finds Fizz with Seki below him.
Umi from the future here. I just wanted to give a quick reminder that these other guys, they're all Fizz's old bandmates from when he was in the Blacksmiths. That's all.
They don't have X's, but small check marks next to their photos. Fizz has about 30 and Seki has about 12. Fizz has the most of these out of all of the files. Rover then flips to the first page, finding more photos, specifically Josephina's wagon and Burcoat, and some really stalkerish photos of the two of them as kids. And then one of them is of Fizz, when he was younger, chained to a wall. He's disheveled and his clothes are tattered, and there are people on his left and right. Written on the Polaroid is the word success. While those two are looking through the files, Fidus is rummaging around through the cabinets, only he just finds a ton of sex toys and photo books. He takes one of the photo books to Rover, who opens it and just starts seeing pages upon pages of detailed photo-by-photo beatings of children, as well as some teens and adults. Fizz is at the very end, and he shows up exactly 3 times. He looks to be about the age that he was when Rover first met him. So, a photo falls out of the book, and it's Fizz, wearing the exact same outfit that he wore when he left Rover's apartment. Rover is, of course, upset. He's crying at this point. I was crying at this point! And Israel comforts him, and they head out, with Rover having taken the files with him. Lyra notices the files on Rover and tries to ask about it, but Rover is not going to talk about it. He tells Lyra that what happened down there and what's in these files is none of his business. So the group continues on, and Fizz sits alone in the corner of the wagon, curled up and facing the wall. Suddenly we are thrust into the biggest whiplash I've ever experienced. Because we're in Pacha now, and everything here is super high energy and super exciting. There's drugs everywhere, and there are carriages parked all over the place and a huge line to get inside. Somebody immediately asks Rover for an autograph, and they also have a picture of him and Fizz. That's not good. And also Fizz is getting swamped because some people actually recognize him as the colorant guy. Crazy. Fidus and Beat have to help fend off all these people. Then someone manages to get into the resort by passing the ticket guy a blunt, and he smokes it and then immediately passes out, so the line starts moving faster. But then he wakes up as soon as the party gets up to him, so they end up having to pay for resort houses. Inside the resort, there are stages and food stands and just a ton of stuff going on everywhere. So here's what we've got. There's another junk stand, and it's run by the same guy. There is an emergency unit that's connected to a stupid burger joint. They put the burger joint and, like, the hospital together. There's also a tropical little bar with a bunch of patrons around it. There's a billboard with all of the performers on it, and the resort houses are off in the distance. Adriel and Rover take a quick look at the billboard, and they find out that a band called The First Supper is performing tonight, which means that somebody's girlfriend is going to be there. Looking at Azrael. The group then decides to head off to the resort houses where they drop off all their stuff and, you know, take some quick naps and whatever. The group splits up, girls versus boys, with Josephina, Ela, Beat, and all of the pets in one house, and Lyra, Azrael, Fizz, and Rover in the other house. Beat eventually then tells everyone to come hang out at Girl House. So Azrael gathers the group and he takes off his mask because he has a question to ask them. He asks the group if they're scared of him, and they all say no, they're not, especially when they just witnessed Lyra basically die. They just witnessed him die, and see him become big and scary. They're not scared of Azrael, not at all. So Azrael keeps talking about how he knows somebody from the First Supper, and he's worried about seeing her again because of the way that he looks now. But they tell him that he should give it a shot because if she loves him, or if she cares about him, then she wouldn't care what he looks like. And Josephina then jumps in and she apologizes to everyone, like she said she's gonna do. Everyone takes it pretty well, but Fizz is dissociating like crazy. So Josephina goes and gives him a hug before going, "It's party time!" And everyone goes to split off, and we're just gonna start doing things now, I guess. So Azriel really wants to smoke, because he's having a kind of rough time. Rover gives him some cigarettes in his lighter, and then Azriel goes back into the resort house where he finds Fizz, who gratefully takes a cigarette that Azriel offers him. Rover and Lyra then head out and they go to get some food for everybody. So they head off to the burger joint, but they also find Ochre, who is the fortune teller from Askangira. And immediately, at the sight of Rover approaching, she runs off and leaves her little shop unattended. So they decide they're gonna go in and snoop around, because why the hell not? And inside is the crystal ball. So Rover taps on it, and he suddenly sees the void. And he can hear something pulsating. In first person, he's able to see himself climbing up a tunnel made out of flesh. It begins to close in on him, and the crystal ball cracks, the vision ending as it does. Rover and Lyra start talking about what they just saw, and Lyra comes up with the idea to take the ball and show everybody. But he makes a stupid mistake of touching it, so he starts seeing things too. Primarily on the right side of this vision is a black void. Everyone in the party is with Lyra, including some other people. In front of him is a door that Sprinkle is sitting on top of. In front of the door is Fizz, a tall orc man, and a woman who we'll later find out is Abigail, Azriel's girlfriend. Everything starts cracking and lifting, and the three people in front of him are suddenly sucked into the door as it opens. Then on the left side is a white void with an apple tree. Two young girls run around it. One has white hair and the other has pink. Three other young people rush past him. One was left undescribed, one is Fizz, and one is Ela. The young version of Ela stops and looks back, beckoning Lyra to come with. He follows, and the ball shatters into a million pieces. So Rover and Lyra decide, you know what, let's not dwell on this, let's move the hell on. So they do, and they go and get food from... Okay, so this place was called Joy Burger, and then the Y fell off of the sign, so it is referred to as Joe Burger in the notes. They go and they get food from Joe Burger for everybody. They can also see the emergency care unit, and they can hear the faint strumming of a guitar, but they decide not to check it out, and instead take the food back to the resort house, where the others have all reconvened. So it's pretty late now, and Lyra, Azriel, Ela, and Josephina are all going to go see the First Supper performance. By the way, the First Supper is just the band The Last Dinner Party, so don't be surprised when I start talking about songs and whatever. This is why. So they go see the performance, and Prelude to Ecstasy is playing before the band comes out and the crowd goes wild. Abigail goes up to the mic and whispers, "This one's for you," before the band starts playing. After the performance, Abigail leaves, as you do when you're done performing, and Azriel tries to get to the stage. He really feels like he needs to get there and see her. But he's struggling a bit, so the others have to help him get there, and he's able to reach Abigail. Azriel approaches Abigail and takes off his mask. She exclaims in shock about him being green and how he's supposed to be dead. Honestly, she's kind of upset that he's back because she had moved on from him. Abigail asks him why he didn't come with, and Azriel tries to explain, but Abigail isn't really having any of it, and instead she just keeps going on about how Azriel had left. Abigail then storms off and leaves into the darkness of backstage before running off. The light is left on Azriel, alone, his face revealed to the world yet again. Everyone's then able to reach Azriel, and they convince him not to continue going after Abigail, even though he really wants to. So instead, they all start heading back to their resort homes. Now we're going to cut to Rover, who, while everyone else was off at the concert, had stayed behind to get some sleep after a pretty rough day. But he doesn't get to have a nice sleep, and instead is in the intramural lobby yet again. The bed he's laying on this time is submerged in water and soggy and gross. Rover goes into Fizz's door, which, need I remind you, is deep green, covered in wilted flowers with their colors having melted off of them, forming an orange puddle at the base of the door. There's a slit window on the door with a pulsing light that blinds Rover for a moment. Rover opens the door and immediately trips and begins free-falling before hitting a giant orange flower that softens his fall. He's in a large flower field with a weird fleshy tube in the middle of it. It's supposed to be an umbilical cord, but in this scene it also kind of gets treated like a throat. It's just a lot of things. It's just gonna be referred to as a tube. So Rover begins heading towards it, and the flowers behind him curl in on themselves and die as he steps on them. When he reaches the tube, Rover enters it and begins climbing up. Above him is a bright light that he reaches out for, but as he does, the tube is suddenly filled with a gray smoke, and the tube begins to shake as it coughs. Rover loses his grip and he falls, waking up to the sound of coughing from the nearby balcony. Rover goes out to Fizz's balcony where he finds him having been smoking and drinking. There are cigarettes and bottles everywhere, and the old guitar is laying on the ground next to him. Rover gets his attention, and Fizz tells him to go back to bed as Rover shouldn't be seeing him like this. But naturally, Rover doesn't care. So Fizz starts venting, specifically about how everything's weird now. Josephina hates him to the point of having stabbed him in the damn arena, and to top it all off, he saw Amon in the care unit and learned that he'd been horribly injured in the massacre on the Pacha path. In the care unit, Amon had asked Fizz to play him one last song on the guitar, then died just after he did. Fizz is crying by this point, and Rover apologizes for not having been there. And then Fizz has the most righteous crash out I've ever seen, and he asks Rover why he let him go. He doesn't really care for an apology right now, he's just upset that Rover hasn't explained himself. Fizz starts talking about how he doesn't know anything about Rover and how he hasn't been open with him. In contrast, Fizz has been, well, not fully open, but definitely better than Rover has been. He told him about Sekai the second that they encountered him, and he had plans to tell him about that stupid grate. And yet, Rover tells him nothing. Fizz doesn't know his name, what he looks like, nothing at all. He quite literally says, "I don't know you." Rover then explains to Fizz that he's scared that Fizz won't accept the real him. And even now, he's struggling to talk, but he does offer to answer Fizz's question. The night that they quote-unquote broke up, Rover had wanted to tell Fizz everything, but he got scared. He was worried about them being a public couple, and he was worried about Fizz's acceptance, and most importantly, he was worried that he might lose Fizz after getting so close with him. So he did the only thing that he thought he could, and he self-sabotaged. He told Fizz to leave because he figured he might as well get Fizz out of the picture before something else does. Fizz apologizes, but Rover tells him not to. He's a coward, after all. But Fizz corrects this because maybe they both are. Rover asks to hug him, and they do for a short second, but Fizz quickly lets go and goes to smash the guitar against the railing. Fizz then turns to Rover and says that he's done thinking about the past, and he just begs to be in the moment with Rover. He just wants to go back to the way that it was, and Rover wants to as well. This time they hug for much longer, but they hear the others get back, and Rover comments about how they should probably clean up this mess that's on the balcony. So they start throwing cigarettes and bottles at a nearby trash can together like they're darts, and for the first time in a while, Fizz seems genuinely happy. So everyone's back now, and Azrael is just crying in his room, thinking about Abigail, when suddenly he hears a voice. Guess what? It's Abigail! She's singing out on the beach in the distance. So Azrael goes out to join her and sings with her. Abigail then finally eases up and leans on his shoulder, and Azrael's, in very vague terms, can finally explain himself, talking about how he never meant to leave her, and he just wanted to make things right with her. Abigail talks about how she wanted to be there for him so badly, but I don't know, I guess she didn't get to. Azrael admits that sometimes he wishes that he died during whatever accident had happened, and he's glad that he didn't, though. And then Abigail says the most lesbian thing I've ever heard. She says, in quotes, "When I die, I want you to be there with me. I don't want to lose you again, and hold on to me like this forever." Oh my god! Anyway. Abigail then tells Azrael that she's got a show coming up in Clerics in a few days, and she invites him to come along and see, because she'd like to see him there. So now we're going to cut to Hila, of all characters. She gets back and gets Beat all caught up to speed on the situation with what happened with Azrael and all that. And they hang out for a little bit, and it's super cute. And then she says, and I quote, "I am going to demolish an entire bottle of vodka and then walk over to Lyravere's room." She only does one of these things, though. She's only going to walk over to Lyravere's room. She's not demolishing a bottle of vodka, thank God. We'll cut to Lyravere real quick, who is brushing his teeth. Like an idiot, because there's a mirror there and he has a fear of reflections, but whatever. When he looks in the mirror, he doesn't see himself, though. Instead, he sees a desert. There's an arched door behind him, and it opens, a blinding light coming from it. Lyravere immediately leaves the bathroom, but hears Bologna whisper "go" to him just before he gets back to his room. And then there's a little knock at his door. It's Ela, and she says that she wants to talk about Atskangura and everything else that's been going on, so Lyravere lets her inside. Ela asks if Lyravere knows what that was, in reference to Necrotic Shroud. Lyravere only really has an idea. He starts talking about his gods. The thing is, unlike most paladins, they don't really stay with him and they don't really talk to him. They've only seemed to have spoken to him once. He just suddenly gets powers out of nowhere without any knowledge of what they do, and they just show up after big moments. He thinks that maybe he was possessed. He's not exactly sure, but he is aware that something feels different. He used to have someone help him understand these new powers and things that would happen to him, but she died a long time ago. But Ela promises that she'll be there to support him now. Ela then starts talking about her experience with all of this stuff going on. Before all of this, Ela thought that she'd experienced the worst of the worst. I mean, what could get worse than, like, your entire town being blown up, essentially, and you're one of 2 survivors? But now she's seeing that everybody else is suffering day by day, and she's realized that she wants to help them and stop dwelling on what happened in the past. And she thinks that it would really help everybody if they stopped thinking about what happened to them before now and just move on. The conversation then shifts to Stolum. Lyravere has been gone for months, and he says that he's never even been able to leave before now. It's very new to him. Ela relates to this because she's never left Rubelara after what happened. But being able to go with the gang has given her some sort of hope, and she thanks Lyravere for letting her come along because he was the one that said yes to her joining the party. Also after this, Lyravere tells her about the mirror and the crystal ball, but he does not talk about hearing Wallona's voice. Lyravere is also actually really glad that he's with everyone. He enjoys their company, and he seems to hold a sentiment that maybe they all might be able to help each other. Ela agrees with this, believing that her suffering was necessary in order to bring her to everybody so that she can be of use to them and help them along. She then wishes Lyravere goodnight and leaves. Everyone wakes up, so there's gonna be some silly stuff that happens, so like always, I'm just gonna go down the list and we'll be moving on pretty soon. So first off, Azrael has a concert ticket now for Abigail's show. Joyous. Cutting to Lyravere, somebody covered his mirror during the night. I wonder who that could have been. He then leaves his room to go eat a burger the wrong way. He eats it from the middle first. And Rover wakes up and he hears Fizz in the shower, so he goes off to go get some food. And he sees Lyravere doing whatever the hell it is that he's doing and starts reprimanding him. And then Fizz walks out and starts doing the same thing. He's also eating the burger wrong. And then Azrael walks out to get a fork and knife to eat the burger, so nobody's eating it right. Anyway, Ela then has to, like, kind of be a mother for Beat because somebody didn't get any sleep, so Ela's carrying her around and taking her things and whatnot. So everybody heads out, but they encounter Barry Dream, who is running the little drink stand that we didn't go check out earlier. She starts chatting with everybody and giving them drinks, and then she just gives us a bijou. She just has one of the bijous for our map that we need. Yup, she wishes us well and whatnot and says that she's gonna see us at the cleric show because she's gonna be there. So everyone's heading off, feeling very hopeful for once in a very long time. What a cute little session, right? There were some ups and downs, but it was hopeful at the end. Very sweet. It was really nice, right? Honestly, I think I'm kind of looking forward to clerics. I think it'll be. What the? Do you? Hey, does anyone else hear those ominous bells tolling, or is that just me?